The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry wasps overhead, casting a sickly glow over the empty aisles. The Walmart supercenter was a ghost town at this hour. Just me, a handful of other stalkers, and the occasional insomniac shuffling through. The automatic doors, their eyes glazed over from exhaustion or something stronger. I adjusted my blue vest, the stiff fabric scratching against my neck. 6 months of overnight shifts had turned me into something less than human, a creature of artificial light and perpetual exhaustion. My body had forgotten what sunlight felt like. My social life was a distant memory. But with rent due in 2 weeks and my bank account hovering near zero, I didn't have the luxury of complaining. I rolled my stiff shoulders and grabbed another box from the pallet, slicing it open with my box cutter. The cereal aisle stretched before me, an endless sea of colorful boxes. Cheerios, Frosted Flakes, Lucky Charms. The work was mindless, repetitive. Stock, rotate, repeat. Stock, rotate, repeat. And then, I felt it. That prickle on the back of my neck. The unmistakable sensation of being watched. I turned my head slightly, just enough to see the end of the aisle. A man stood there, tall, thin, dressed in a dark hoodie despite the summer heat. His hands were buried deep in his pockets and his face was half hidden in shadow. But his eyes, I could feel them locked onto me, unblinking. I forced myself to look away, pretending to focus on the cereal. Maybe he was just another weirdo. Walmart attracted them like moths to a flame, especially after midnight. But when I glanced up again, he was closer, not walking, just... They're 5 feet away now, my pulse jumped. The first interaction. Can I help you find something? I asked, keeping my voice steady. His lips curled into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Just browsing, he murmured. His voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it sent a chill down my spine. I nodded and turned back to my work, but the air felt heavier now, thick with something I couldn't name. A few minutes later, I moved to the next aisle, canned goods. I started unloading the cart, stacking soups and vegetables, trying to shake off the unease. Then I saw him again, same hoodie, same empty stare, standing at the end of the aisle, watching me, 53 a.m. The radio collie grabbed my walkie-talkie and keyed the mic, keeping my voice low. "Jeff, you there?" A crackle of static, then my manager's tired voice. "Yeah, what's up?" "There's a guy creeping me out near aisle 12. Can you keep an eye out?" Jeff sighed like I was overreacting. "Just ignore him. Probably some drunk." I swallowed hard. He's not acting drunk. He's just staring. All right, I'll swing by in a few." The radio went silent. I turned back to my cart, and the man was gone. Relief washed over me. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe the lack of sleep was getting to me. Then I heard, "Dun-hap, tap, tap," footsteps behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The store was silent. 7 a.m. The scrape I let out a shaky breath and went back to work. My hands trembled slightly as I stacked cans of tomato soup. Then, from the next aisle over, scrap, a slow, deliberate drag of fingers along the metal shelves. My blood turned to ice. I wasn't alone. Chapter 2. The Hunt to 15 a.m. the 1st. Escape, I bolted. My cart abandoned, I power-walked toward the employee break room, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The store felt like a maze, every turn stretching longer than it should. Finally, I reached the break room. I slammed the door shut behind me and leaned against it, gasping. Safe. Then, jiggle. The doorknob twisted. I stumbled back, my breath catching in my throat. "Hey," the man's voice called softly through the door. "You forgot something." I didn't answer. My eyes darted around the room for a weapon, a chair, a fire extinguisher, anything. The door creaked open, but it wasn't the man. It was a single Walmart name tag, lying on the floor just inside the door. I bent down slowly, my fingers shaking as I picked it up. The plastic was smeared with something dark, blood, and the name on it, mine, 30 a.m. The security footage, Jeff finally showed up, looking annoyed. What's the problem now? I shoved the bloody name tag at him. This was just left here, that guy, he's following me. Jeff's expression shifted from irritation to unease. All right, let's check the cameras. We went to the security office, a cramped room with flickering monitors showing every corner of the store. The footage confirmed it. The man had been in the store for hours before closing, hiding in the back storage room. He'd watched us, studied us, and now on the screen, he was standing in aisle 12, right where I'd been, holding something in his hands. A box cutter. My box cutter. AM. The lockdown, Jeff called the police. We locked ourselves in the security office, watching the monitors as the man moved through the store, his movements slow, deliberate. Then, suddenly, he looked directly into the camera and smiled.